Motorsports. I'm Bill Gilkey for Arkansas Motorsports Magazine. I'm joined with our co-host, the chameleon of motorsports, Heath Tate. And boy, have we got a show lined up for you tonight. We've got no other than Bill Frye. He's going to be on the show. We've got Bear Brantley. He's here tonight. We've got Ronnie Clinton from right here in Guy, Arkansas. And we've also got SuperPro racing champion Lonnie Cunningham. I don't know how we ended up with such talent on the show this week. But
Lots of talent here tonight.
Right now, we want to remind you, Arkansas Motorsports Magazine. You can check us out at arkansasmotorsportsmagazine.com. Check that out. You know, like I said, we're all about covering motorsports in the state of Arkansas and trying to you know, tell the stories of all the racers across our great state. Just $6 a month. You can sign up and subscribe. Right now, Tuesday night tune-up's coming to you for free. But I'm telling you folks at home, this is a very popular show. We've been having about 2,000 people watch the show every week. Had a call last week from a gentleman up in Canada who's watching. We appreciate him. We appreciate everybody. Tuesday night tune-up's going to keep coming for free until the boss back home says roll that into the subscription. So we don't know when that's going to happen. So check it out. It's $6 a month. Think about subscribing so we can keep bringing Tuesday night tune-up to you. Heath, you want to go in a little bit about the state championship drag race? We had a great show from Centerville Dragway last week.
Yes, we had I don't know how many cars were there. I mean, a lot.
162.
162 cars were here. There was lots of good racing down there that night, Saturday night, and yeah, I mean, everybody should have been there. If you wasn't there, you should have been there.
Like I said, it was everything that we talked about last week. Like I said, a lot of nice cars, a lot of great racing went on, a lot of great things people could walk around and see behind the scenes, round and round. It was just a spectacular.
What, 18 different classes.
18 different classes. So congratulations to all the winners, and I think last week's guests, Wayne Stiles, Eric Foster, and Glendon Graham. I'll tell you, we've had a lot of calls about Glendon. Glad everybody enjoyed him being on the show last week.
Yeah, I seen where Glendon, he's been out hunting all weekend. I guess he got a deer. I've seen where where his wife posted a picture of his deer. So,
well, congratulations, Glendon, and we've had so many requests to have you back on the show, and that'll be coming in the future. So, once again, we want to thank our sponsors tonight, True Grit Auction Company in Dardanelle, Arkansas. Check them out for all your auction needs. They're not just in Yale County; they're statewide. Also, we want our sponsor tonight, Central Arkansas Motor Speedway, is going to be opening up the 31st of this month, Saturday, October the 31st, for the Leon Clonger Memorial Stock Car Races. Good luck to Johnny Wise down there on his opening day, and Weston Petroleum Company. And also Bill Frye Motorsports for hosting tonight's show. And without further ado, we'll welcome in Bill Frye. Bill, thank you so much for being here tonight and inviting us up.
Thank you, guys.
It's certainly a pleasure. You know, you're a National Dirt Racing Hall of Fame driver. Just to kick the show off, tell us how you got involved in your dirt track racing career.
Wow. We had a '68 Chevelle, two-door, an old SS Chevelle, and we was going to make a drag car out of it. We gutted it all out and looked it all over and thought, we got enough money to make a race car, to make a drag car. Because I was in a drag racing community, Navy, Missouri, everybody drag racing, no stock cars. We looked at it and thought, man, we just can't afford this. So I had an old 64 or 62 Chevy Impala that we'd been deer hunting in. We'd use it for a hunting car. And I thought, there's the stock car. We're not cutting up SS Chevelle. We're going to make a stock car out of this. So we knocked the windows out of it and welded a roll cage in it. I'd been to the stock car races one night in the grandstands. The second night I went in the pits and looked around. And the third night I hauled a race car in and unloaded it and raced.
The rest is history.
How far was the racetrack from your hometown there? You said everything was drag cars. So.
It's about 50 miles over the West Plains, and the stock car track was right next to the drag strip, so it was right there.
So it was right there.
Yep.
So how did your career progress from the beginnings of that old cart? Take us through the years there, if you would.
Well, we raced that one part of that year, and I read somewhere in some stock car magazine they were talking about putting Camaro clips on a car. So I cut the front end off a 62 Impala and welded a Camaro clip on the front of it. Took it to the racetrack and raced it 4 or 5 times and won a couple races in it. Totaled it out at Springfield one night. We went up there to run a big race. I learned a lot about racing that night. There was 100 cars, and I drew the #1 pill going in the gate. I thought, man, I'm gonna start on pole this. Well, we went to the lineups, and I wasn't even on the lineup. And went back down there and talked to them, and they said, man, you didn't even draw a pill. So somebody else got the #1 pill, and I started dead last. But I was hammering my way through them, and it was pretty ugly. I got turned around and hit by every car there, and that was the end of that one. We did cut up the 68 Chevelle and made us a stock car out of it. No, I sold the motor out of the 62 Impala. I traded for a 69 GTO. A Ram Air 3 4-speed car, beautiful factory paint. Man, this was the nicest car ever was. And we laid black marks with it for a week or two. And I knocked the windows out of it and welded a roll cage in it and took it to the racetrack. And blew up a couple of Pontiac motors, put a big block Chevy motor in it. Rolled it down the back straightaway at Branson, Missouri. Cut the roof off it, cut the roof off the 68 Chevelle. Cut the roll cage out and welded back in that one. Started racing again, raced it the rest of that year at Branson. And then they had a Fairground Speedway in Springfield that ran asphalt. And I wanted to race asphalt. So I got a book that said how to build a stock car. So we cut up a 74 Monte Carlo and made us a stock car. And we won, I think, 13 features in the track championship in it. And they shut the track down. And that was when we started running dirt with it. And I think we ran 4 or 5 years dirt with that car, cutting it up and shortening it. And it was quite a contraption, but we won, I think, 5 championships and 50 races in it. I still got it out in the barn. I got it back a few years ago. I may restore it sometime. Then I sold it to a guy and went and bought a late model.
Started late model racing. If they hadn't shut the track down, do you think you'd ever got back into dirt track racing, or would you stay with asphalt?
I loved racing asphalt. It was clean. It was easy. I could win. I don't know. We had a big block engine, and most of them didn't. And it was like my sister. They had a powder puff one night, and my sister. We finally, after we got there, we said, "Well, you need to race a powder puff." And she said, "Well, what do I do?" And I said, "Well, it's the fastest car here. All you got to do is feed it enough gas to pass the car in front of you, and you're going to win it." She said, "Well, when do I need the brakes?" I said, "Oh, you ain't going to go fast enough to need the brakes. Don't worry about them. When you pull in the pits, use the brake."
Yeah.
And she goes out and she starts dead last because they lined you up by how you got to the starting line. And we was last. So she follows them around 2 or 3 laps, wouldn't pass nobody. And then someone went slower than her, and she passed them. She figured out she'd pass them. She started passing cars. About 3 laps to go, I noticed she's sliding the car coming off the corners. It's like tailing out a little bit. And I thought, man, she's doing good here. She passed another one, and she got to the leader on the white flag lap, and she come off turn 4. And I mean, it's broadside and rolling smoke off the tires. And it starts fishtailing, and we was all standing in the infield watching the race. And we all ran, because she's going to hit somebody. And she got it back under control and didn't hit nobody, but ran second. And that was the highlight of her stock car racing career. But man, we had a good car. We raced it hard. Man, I just loved asphalt. We didn't blow tires. And, what was it? One guy said, kept blowing right front tires. The next year they had us put little tires on the car, 7-inch street tires. And we'd blow the right front tire. About after 3 or 4 weeks of trying to find a tire hard enough to stay on it, an old man come down and he said, "Oh, I see the problem. You got a big block motor in that thing." He said, "You need to move that motor back a little bit and over to the left, and it'll quit doing that." So I didn't do anything a little bit, so I moved it 14 inches back and mounted the gas pedal to the bell housing bolts. And man, we went to winning races again. It was like we had a race car then. I really enjoyed it. It was like you could build what you wanted and race what you wanted. It was good, clean racing.
Well, as you progressed into the late model, tell us about your progression in the late model series, dirt late model series.
Well, we went to a group of men there in town. We went to Larry Shaw's and bought a used car. And we got back, and all I knew is that Shaw said he'd been winning races. I think Yarborough. David Yarborough. David Yarborough's old car. It was Billy Moyer's car before that. And it's a beautiful car, and I get it home, and we looked it all over, and I didn't have a clue what shocks and springs was on it. We just went racing. Put my street stock motor in it and went racing. And blew that motor up in 3 or 4 nights and needed another motor. And I started building one, and it wasn't happening. And there was a guy in Mountain Home was helping me, and it was taking forever. Couldn't get parts. So Hubert Welton, the guy there in town, come by one evening in my shop, and he goes, and he'd sponsored my dirt cars. He'd buy me tires all the time and stuff. He come by and he said, I'm tired of going to races and you're not racing. He said, David Willard in Lebanon's got a used motor. He said, I'm going to go price it. I said, no, hey, Hubert, I ain't got no money to buy a motor. All my money's tied up in this other one. He said, I'm going to go talk to him anyway. About 8 o'clock that night, he come down there and unloaded a Kern engine. He said, here, put this in the car. And I said, Hubert, I can't pay you for that motor. And he said, you put it in the car and race it like it's your own, but it's mine. And man, I think we won 4 features in that car in the next year or two. We raced it the first year and didn't even know what. I finally took the springs off from it and seen what they were. We didn't even know what springs the car had on. And then the next year we started working on it a little bit and got it better and won some races. And then in '89, we came down to buy another car, and we went to Shaw's and talked to them, and then went to GRT, and they had a used car down there. It was one of Jerry Inman's used cars. There's like 4 races on it. We bought it. Went back, and that's how I got started racing the GRT stuffs in that car.
In that car?
Yeah.
And then after that, you made the progression from Missouri down here to the Guy Greenbrier, Arkansas area.
Yeah, we raced those cars 90 and 91, and in 90 we won 3 track championships at Flippin, West Plains, and Monette in the late models. And then the next year we ran that MLRA championship, and we won it. We won a big race at Muskogee.
The Oktoberfest.
Yeah, we won it, a 10,000 win race there.
And you won the Spooker that year too.
I think so. We won the Spooker. They had the big race at Crawford County, Siloam Springs the night after Muskogee, and we won it. And then we went to Phoenix City, Alabama, led 80-some laps of the National 100 and blew the tire. And I went back home and I thought, I think I can make a living doing this.
So that's the point you decided that
Well,
I can do this for a living now and not have to work no more.
actually, when we qualified for the big Muskogee race, we qualified on a Thursday night, and I'd worked till 4 in the morning the night before we left, putting a new motor together for the car because we blowed it up to World 100. And we built this motor and got it in at 4 o'clock in the morning. We went to Muskogee, we qualified that night, didn't have no sleep. The next night we didn't have to race. Well, they had a 2,000 win in Kilgore, Texas. So we drove 5 hours the next day while everybody else took it easy. We drove 5 hours to Texas and was leading that race with like 5 laps to go by half a lap. And man, all of a sudden the car shook, fire rolled, this smoke blew up. I thought, man, I borrowed $7,000 at the bank to fix this motor. I'm out of business. This is the end of my career right here. I thought I was done. And come to find out, it just slung a starter ring off the flywheel and cut an oil line into it. So we went, and I got up early the next morning, took it to car wash, washed it, borrowed a flywheel off Wendell Wallace and an oil fitting off somebody else, fixed everything, and we won the 10 grand that night and the 3,500 the next night. And I thought, what's all the poor people doing? This is the greatest thing in the world. And then Joe Garrison said, well, why don't you come down here and race out our shop? He said, I got a hauler you can use. You have all my sponsors. I'll give you a shop, give you a pit crew, all the parts you can use at cost, race cars and all this. And he said, if you can't make a living racing, you can work in the shop. And I thought, man, it don't get no better than this. So I moved down there and sold my welding shop in Missouri to a guy there in town. And we raced. I think I worked for him 6 weeks before we started racing that year. And I don't think I ever went back, never had to go back to work again. So it's been good to me. I got to say, I've been blessed by it.
I mean, you've been all over the United States racing, and you've done very well. I mean, you're actually, we said or not, we're lucky to have this guy sitting here tonight because he is actually one of the top dirt late model racers that's ever sat behind the wheel of a race car.
Yes.
I know you're the type of person that's not going to go out and say that, but it's true. And the thing that's always also impressed me about you is you were always able to work and build and if you thought of an idea, you could sit down and fabricate it and build it. You look, if you had to tour this shop here, all the tools here, this guy can take a race car and build it from scratch and go anywhere in the country and win. I mean, that's just the caliber of person that we've got sitting here tonight. A lot of people, there are two types of racers. There are people that drive race cars, and there's people like this man right here that is a race car driver.
Yes.
And we're just proud to have let us come in here tonight and visit with you and some of the people close by.
And now he's even trying to be a drag racer.
Yeah, tell us about. You always hear the guys on the dirt tracks. I say, drag racing. That's easy, but unless you've been involved in both sides of sports, they both have their difficulties. And you've been experimenting a little bit on the drag race side of things here in the last few years. Tell us about that.
Well, I actually started drag racing. We actually done a lot of street racing when I was a kid because I was in a drag racing community. Well, and everybody, all the drag racers made fun, called me toilet bowl racer, roundy round. I've heard all the names. So the stock car season had shut down one year, and they had a drag race at Ozark, Missouri, just a bracket race. And I was going to go up there and watch, and I thought, well, old two-barrel Nova sitting there in the yard that ain't been drove in a while. Let's just take it up there and race it. So I checked the air in the tires and checked the oil and transmission fluid, drove up there, throwed the air cleaner in the back. And man, this thing made like 8 passes that day at a 1050 to a 1054. Man, I won the trophy. And I thought, all them guys, it's like, they'd call me around here, and I just told them, I said, this drag racing, it's easy. It ain't nothing to this. Went back the next week and won it again. And I made fun of them all winter long about how easy that was. And I built a V8 Monza for a guy there in town that was racing the same street class. And he was asking me, he said, man, how do you cut those lights? He said, I leave when the light turns green. And I said, well, there's your problem. You got to leave when the yellow goes out for you. You can't leave when the green comes on. And the guy beat me in the final round. The next race, so I told him if I couldn't win, I wasn't going back. So I told him I was done with drag racing. And I other than building several cars over the next few years, I didn't race any. We built a tube chassis Chevette for Jeff DeGase that worked for me. And he bracket raced it a lot. We put one of them old stock car motors in it when his motor was broke once. I took it to Ozark, going to race it one day. It was a 990 car that run 130 or so. I don't remember what it goes now. I remember it being a 990 car and 970s maybe. And I took it up there and was going to make a few passes in it, and it rained us out. So that was the end of my drag racing career for a while. And then I guess we went back when Bear had that reunion race.
Mm-hmm.
I went back and man, it was like I had a bit of fun when we were playing around. So, then this year, we worked on Ronnie's Chevelle. It got off, and we got the chassis kind of goofed up on it. He said he was tasting, man. He said, I don't know what direction this thing's going to go next. He said, to save face, he said, you're going to race it. He said, you're going to get it to go down the racetrack straight. And I thought, nah, I don't think that. He said, yeah, you're going to. So we started racing it. And it's a great car to drive. I love it. It's fun. I never thought a car could leave the line that hard. I can only imagine a half second or second faster car. But I really enjoyed it. I just really suck at it.
Well, I tell you, we've been watching, and you're progressing. You've got a future there if you want it.
Oh, I've made one pass that was decent, but that's about it.
What a lot of people don't know, I got one more thing before we go with Bill here is a lot of people out there probably don't know that Bill Frye here, legendary late model driver around the state of Arkansas, pretty much just all over everybody that knows, has got the #2 YouTube video out there that everybody wants to look at and see, and it was in 1997, The Dream, and well, I mean, a lot of these people are going to be looking this up now on YouTube, so you want to tell us a little bit about that night?
We started like 14th in the feature, got the lead about 30-some laps, 35, 38 laps. Passed Bloomquist for the lead, and the next lap he went in the corner and he turned me around. I had to stop on the racetrack, go to the back, and instead of using good sense and starting at the rear and I think I'm still good enough to win the race. I decided I needed to take care of him. And that's how the video came.
So we'll let everybody at home tune into the video, after the show tonight. And
Yeah, just Google me if you want to know if I need to watch your kids.
It was like 750 million views or something on that thing. I mean,
That's my claim to fame, I guess, right there.
well, Bill, it's been an honor, and like I said, one thing we would like to do sometime over the winter is come back and sit down and make you a part of what Arkansas Motorsports Magazine calls their Legends Series. And that's where we come down here sometime and sit down and talk for 45 minutes to an hour and really get into your racing career. If you'd like to do that, we'd like to extend that invitation.
Be able to hear about some of those races that you run. And, I mean, I know we didn't get into a lot of the things, I know you won the Topless, and here in Arkansas, that's where a lot of people that around dirt track racing know what that race is. And I mean, there's quite a few races around here that you have won, so.
That sounds good. Yeah, Johnny Burton, his term of a legend is a has-been. Yeah, we can do that.
Well, Burton's going to be on the show in a few weeks, so you've got time to prime us up good.
Yeah, I can tell you
before
a few
Burton's
stories
on the
about
show.
him.
He's going to be on in November, and but no, it's a pleasure having you tonight. We look forward to talking to you
Very
again in
much
the
so.
future. And,
Good. I enjoyed it. Thank you, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Mr. Bill Frye. And again, we want to thank Bill Frye Motorsports for inviting us down here tonight. True Grit Auction Company up in Dardanelle, Arkansas, Central Arkansas Motor Speedway. Johnny Wise and crew going to be opening up October the 31st down in Plummerville, Arkansas, and Weston Petroleum Company down in Plummerville, Arkansas. And now, without further ado, we would like to bring in Bear Brantley, who is here tonight to talk to us about the Arkansas Drag Racers Hall of Fame, the Racers Reunion, and some of his stories back in the day of his racing ventures. Bear, come on in. Bear, glad you can make it over tonight.
Yeah, it ain't far. I don't need a far here. Just across the hill. Okay?
Just across the hill.
Yeah.
Well, tell us as we get started here. Tell us about the Arkansas Drag Racers Hall of Fame, and also like to get a plug in for your Facebook page that you do. I think that's Arkansas.
Yeah, that it all kind of ties together. Because in 2014, I was on the internet and I was looking for Arkansas drag racing stuff. Well, I couldn't find any, and I thought, well, needs to be something done about that. So I had a few pictures, that I had through the years. So I made that Facebook page, put some pictures on it, and text some of the old cronies, and all before it just, just more and more people got to getting on, adding pictures, stories, and in 2015, kind of. Everybody kind of wanted to have a reunion, so we, was looking for a kind of central location, so I called on the Patty, asked them about it, and they said, well, we can put it with a vintage race, because that kind of fits in, and we come up with a couple of classes that kind of fit, for the older, it's all about yesterday, the reunion,
Yes.
and everything.
Yes, sir.
The people, the cars, and so we got the classes together, had the reunion, and it went over pretty good, pretty good participation. And then, the next year, in 14, 15, 16, there wasn't no Hall of Fame. So we thought, well, there ought to be a Hall of Fame. So we got a selection committee together, and got the nomination started, which you can nominate anybody. And then they, going kind of on the merits of what they've done through the years, and the selection committee picked 5. That's what we did for the first few years, because they've been so many years, that, and then this last year, then we just did 3, because but there was a tie, so we wound up with 4.
Okay.
And that's kind of how that went. And then, it's all to preserve it. you know, because a lot of them, I thought I knew a lot about drag racing, because I was in 65, one of my cousins, two of my cousins actually, had an old drag car. Well, I was pretty young, 10, 11-year-old. Well, Daddy'd go watch him. Well, we went to Little Rock, first time he was opening car line, they still had flagmen. Then, I mean, you know, can't remember a whole lot about it, but the flagmans put on a budget good shows the cars did. And so then in '72, when I got out of school, I went to work at a garage in Little Rock. I built me an old bracket car, you know, run it some. Then I built another bracket car, and then I built an old gasser. Actually bought it as a roller. Then run it some, and then I got a pretty last car was a pretty nice car, best car I had. Got it as a roller, but then the class racing went away.
Yes.
Nothing I had would fit the bracket, so I kept that car around to the late '80s. In fact, James Hartman had it up there at the reunion, this last reunion, kind of run down a little bit. Then I got off in the dirt tracking and some mud racing, but that's,
Tell us a little bit about your dirt tracking endeavors.
well, Don Lynn over at
Yes, sir.
Equipment.
Yes, sir.
He's gone now, and I hate it. He didn't have anybody to build his motors, and I got talking to him, and I said, well, you know, I can get your motor rigged up, get me some parts. So he had an old mower. So I, you know, I got him a motor going. Then I got to going, you know, and then the rest of that year, and then the next year, me and him and James Cossey got together on a car. Don drove. I did the engines, and James, he'd been racing ever since they was racing, I guess. He done the chassis work. We did pretty good, did that up till.
Yeah, I would say that y'all did pretty good. I mean, every now and then we would venture down to BB and to El Paso, and you know, y'all pretty well whooped up on everybody.
Well, we was pretty.
It made us think about whether we wanted to come back next week or not. But no, Don and y'all put on some clinics back then at BB and the OL Paso
Yeah,
track.
we did. We won 13 features there one year and won 11 of them in a row. Of course, me and Causey, we was using that car to kind of get by. You know, that was our spending money.
Well,
You know, I can't do that now. But
y'all had plenty of spending money. I can attest to that.
Yeah,
So
that last car, I quit in '90. Because I'd always told him, you know, when you get to have to feed it, I'm going back to dragging. Of course, I always liked drag racing real well anyway. And we won the points at Benton that year and won quite a bit of money, and it just barely kept the car up. We have some good sponsors, you know. So I said, well, I'm going to just kind of back out of it and get an old drag car rigged up again. It took me till 2010 to get one, but I finally got one scratched up. Run it a little bit, just be sure I still wanted to do it, and then I always knew I wanted another old gasser, so then I got 48 Cross that I'm working on.
I'm familiar with the Crosley, yeah.
But yeah, the Hall of Fame, you know, we got to, like I said, I thought I knew a lot about it, but I didn't know nothing, you know, really.
And we've talked about this before. It's just really a shame that there is so much history, not only in drag racing, but stock car, but all types of motorsports here in Arkansas, and there's just not a lot of documentation out there on it. And, you know, we want to thank you for all your efforts trying to help preserve all that, you know, well into the future. And y'all just do a marvelous job with the Arkansas Drag Racing Hall of Fame.
Yeah, there's 3,800 members of the Arkansas Drag Racers and Drag Strip past and present Facebook page. And then at the reunion race is where we get, you know, we sell T-shirts and hats, and that's where we get the money to.
Dwight Cox does a
Yeah,
real
yeah,
good
well,
job, I can attest.
Yeah, Dwight, you know, we sell these stickers. And Dwight, he's a champion sticker seller.
I was kidnapped by Dwight at the Racers Reunion for about an hour and a half, and It was an enjoyable afternoon, but he's got a sales technique that's unreal. We're not going to discuss that tonight, but
No,
But
it's pretty effective.
Unreal. He even talked me into buying a 2019 sticker.
yeah, I mean,
You know,
and we're here in 2020.
Yeah, they, of course, this is, we sell the red and black, just, supporter hats, and then, of course, T-shirts. And they had, like this year, there's my notes. I wasn't sure I wouldn't freeze up when I got up here. But, of course, it's got the, this year's inductees on there in the front. It's got that. It's J.V. Brotherton, which is Brodeck's heads, Henry Harrison, Emil Hunt, which he's the granddaddy of the Fords in Arkansas. Of course, Danny Nelson, won the world championship last year and second in the points this year, I believe. And then the members, they get this color hat. They're the only ones that get this one. This one here is Burns Buchanan's. I got to get it to him. He's
So if somebody wants a T-shirt or something with Arkansas Direct, can they contact you?
yeah, just get on the Facebook page, and in fact, I shipped some today. I get I need to read off the people in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
please.
If I can find them.
Is this right here?
Yeah,
Yeah, there we go.
yeah, I had it out. No wonder I couldn't find it. Okay, 2016 was the first year. There's S.C. Buchanan, Bill Maverick Golden, Little Red Wagon guy, Jack Mullins, just the baddest egg in the Pontiacs that they are. Joe Ralph Thompson, which a guy's restored that old AWB car of his, and Dennis Oliver. 2017 is Bob Ayers, Dwight Cox, you Betty,
Yeah.
Mike Himes, Dwight Sutherland, and Ray Sullins. 2018 is Vern Buchanan, S.E.'s brother, Jim Hale, Phil Phillips, Bobby Roper, and Raymond Simmons. And 2019 was Lloyd Walford, Jim Coots, Adger Smith, O.D. Brazil, which O.D. is the one that originally opened Carlisle, him and Bob Ayers, 1955, I believe. And then Shelby Jester, which Shelby won a couple of Pro Stock World Championships. And then this year, Henry Harrison, Emil Hunt, J.V. Brotherton, and Danny Nelson. And,
Now the Drag Racing Hall of Fame, it's housed at the Speed Shop there in
yeah, there's Crystal Hill.
Crystal Hill area there.
Yeah, we got a display up with the pictures on it, and a notebook. It tells all about what they've done and the pictures in the notebook. Someday, we hope to have a regular museum, to put a car in and put all the stuff in and all the memorabilia, just like Ray Sullins has got his fire suit from when he drove them fuel funny cars.
Right.
And Dwight Cox has got, when he won the Division 4 championship in Indy, he's got some memorabilia from that. And Dennis Oliver, and they've all got a little something, we could put in there. And then take all that information from the Facebook page, like loop it on the TV or
Right.
sell CDs where people can come. And,
A lot of people don't realize here in the state of Arkansas, we've had some great drag racers over the years.
if you can win back in '75 when I was trying to run, of course I could make it 2 or 3 rounds, and of course I was trying to run gas, which is Buddy Bennett and Ray Sullins. One time, first round, I go up there and of course we'd flip and draw Buddy Bennett. And I couldn't outrun Buddy Bennett heads up, and I'd had to spot him. And then next time Ray Sullins, I couldn't do nothing with them guys. But they was kind of a lot like me, that wasn't front runners. But in Arkansas, you can, especially stock, super stock, if you can win at Carlisle and Little Rock against them guys, you can go to any national event you know, and they'll
Right.
know you there, because Dwight Cox and Dennis Oliver and Jack Mullins and S.E. Buchanan, you know, them people like that now, they was good, you know, they was hard to beat, and there's some more too. That, you know, just national record, Dwight Sutherland, national record holder, you know, multi-time record holder. You know, it's just unbelievable how good them folks was.
You know, like we were talking, there are just so many great motorsports people here in Arkansas, and we say this every week, but people, whether it's drag racing, stock car racing, or whatever type of motorsports that we have going on here in Arkansas, the talent pool is deep
There's
here.
lots
So, I
of
mean,
lots
you're
of
talking about people that, you know, they could go to a race, whether it be dirt or drag race or what, and they're gonna. We've got people here in Arkansas that every time that they hit the track, they're going to contend to win.
Oh,
And you know, it's just amazing of the talent pool that we have here in motorsports in Arkansas.
Yeah, the reunion race, we try to have, you know, some kind of special every year, like this time had the pro stock group, you know, Wayne and Cody booked them in.
And that was a very good show.
You know, Dave Seacrest had that front engine drag string race on its matched race, 2 or 3 years ago. And James Hardman's got that Mickey Thompson funny car. He come and display it. And of course, Richard Egan's got the Joe Ralph Thompson car, and he bring it down. So you know, we try to have something, like I said, it's all for the older folks. They even try to have it during the day, because, you know, when you get old, you can't see as good at night as what you know.
Right.
I used to see a gnat at 100 yards, and now if there's a light somewhere, I can just barely see the ground. You know?
And we got to tell the people next year when the reunion race comes around, and we're going to put the word out way ahead of time. But I tell you what, it's a great way to spend it. We had a blast meeting people that. You know, some of our racing heroes from when we were kids, and it is a fantastic way to spend an afternoon.
Yeah, Jack Mullins, he won that vintage a year or two ago, and he's nearly 80 years.
And he was racing that night. I think went to semifinals.
Yeah, of course, you know, we try to get them classes to include as many people as you can, but you know, you just can't get everybody.
Right.
You know, sometimes being too young, so, you know, like cut Lonnie, cut him out, you know, or how long did he Kurt, yeah.
Well, we have to cut Kurt out. We have to cut Kurt out because he'd probably win.
We don't cut the competition.
No, we got to eliminate some people before the race starts. He would probably win.
Yeah.
But Barry, is there anything else that you'd like to tell the folks watching about the Drag Racers Hall of Fame before we go?
I guess that's pretty much covered it. Like I said, we're already working on next year's reunion race. And if you got any pictures up in the attic, need to get them drug out and post on the race page where we can, you know, add to the history.
Yeah, because
that's a great thing. I mean, like over there this year, going over to the table, just sitting there going through folders and looking at all the old cars and everything that y'all had sitting there on the tables was just, that was a neat thing to be able to do.
Well, Terry Harrison, of course, Henry passed away last year, but Terry, his nephew, was there, and he was on Mike Hines' fuel car, you know, that dragster, and the pit crew on that. And he drove some fuel alters that Henry had, so he's pretty well healed on that dragon. But yeah, we just try to have a good show every year at the reunion and save the history.
Well, that's what it's all about. Well, Barry, we appreciate you coming by tonight and visiting with us, and we look forward to having you on again in the future. And we want to remind everybody, whether you're dirt track, mud race, drag race, please get out and support the Arkansas Drag Racers Hall of Fame help preserve the history of our sports.
Thank you for
Thank you,
everything.
Bear. You bet. You bet. Ladies and gentlemen, Bear Brantley, the Arkansas Drag Racers Hall of Fame. And again, as we move on to the next segment, we got to thank our sponsors this week, Central Arkansas Motor Speedway, Johnny Wise and crew, opening up next Saturday.
Next
with
Saturday.
the Leon Clonger Memorial Stock Car Races. Good luck
We'll be
to
there.
Johnny. We'll be there. Also, we'll thank Weston Petroleum in Plummerville, Arkansas. Bill Frye Motorsports and True Grit Auction Company over in Dardanelle. If you're anywhere in the state of Arkansas, give True Grit a call. You'll have some amazing results with your auction, I'll promise you. So now as we move along, we're going to welcome in SuperPro racer Ronnie Clinton. And we're proud to have Ronnie on the show tonight. He made the long trip over tonight as well.
Yeah, real long trip, right across the road.
Right across the road. He left yesterday trying to get here. As a matter of fact, I think you said you drove in from Texas.
Yeah, well,
Is that right? So we,
Texas at the race.
you know, he was down in Texas and couldn't miss the show. We're going to tell everybody you come back early just to be on the show tonight.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's a pleasure to have you. You've had, as well, you've had a very, very good racing career. Why don't you tell us a little bit how you got started drag racing?
How I got started was right here in Guy. My brother had an old '69 Chevrolet pickup, and him and the late Barry Grimes and Robbie Weber would come up here and drag race, and I was just a little bitty and been around motors. You know, my granddad had a shop, and we'd been working on it all my growing up. I said, told my brother they was going up here. We used to have a place up here by the school. We'd race on the street. And I said, man, I want to go. He said, no, you can't go. I said, I'm going to go. Him and the late Barry Grimes was going to race. He had a '66 and my brother had a '69, and I snuck in the floorboard and got up there, and he looks over why he didn't notice me, and he said, you better stay down, we got a race. And so I couldn't get out, so I went ahead and raced, and then from then I was like, I got to do this.
And how old were you at the time?
I was about seven
About
or
7
eight.
years old.
Yeah. And so it rocked along, and he got faster. He had a little D-stroke 400 with nitrous, and we went racing. He'd take me, and I just kept getting into it. And old Teddy Battles
Ted Battles, yes.
would come by and pick me up and take me to Newport with him, and I'd help him and go race over there. The only thing I didn't like is we had to spray the car for so long to keep it cool. He always wanted to cool his car down to icicles, and that was my job, to stand over the radiator and spray that car. And I'd be over there, like, Ted, is that good? He'd look in there, nope, it's got to be all the way down. And I'd sit there and spray. And finally, after that, went with him for a whole season. Him and Dudley Henry and all them, we'd go up there and race. Well, then I kind of went backwards and had a chance to buy a car and end up buying a Volkswagen Beetle. Of all cars. And tried to make it go fast. Couldn't make it go fast and got in a wreck, and bought a '63 Chevrolet pickup. And so asked my granddad if I could use his shop to work on the truck. Had a 283 3-speed on the column in it, and I learned real quick you can't make a 283 run. I could. Some people might can, but I could. And I done everything. I spent all the money I could spend on it and couldn't make it run. And a guy come by and wanted it and swapped it for a big block. And that was my first big block. And I took it down to Harold Gray's machine shop. And he was an old drag racer, had a machine shop there in Conway, and built me a 460. And from there, I went racing on the street along with Kurt and all of go to Gleason and race. And I remember I was probably the first one, if I remember, we got it built. I rented a shop from Bobby Below when he had B&A's Performance down, and put that motor together, put it in that truck, and I'd put a two-step and all of that in it, and went out there. And first night putting it together, went to Gleason and running. I pulled up the line, I'd hit that button, went to the floor, and that was the first time it'd ever been there. And I had people come, what you got in that truck? I said, I got a two-step in this truck. And from then on, I never could get the truck to go. Of course, it was heavy, bed cover, probably weighed 5,000 pounds, and I could get in the 10s. I think 1070 is about as fast as I could go foot braking, and I just couldn't get no faster, and swapped it. And I found a guy in Malton and swapped it for a '67 Chevelle, and that's the one I've got now. And I think I was probably about 18 or 19, I think, when I done that. And I've still got, that's the one that Bill Frye's
been driving.
and
Good looking car.
we redone it. I've had it from when it had a 12 bolt in it, and messed it up there one night, and then we back tapped it. And then Charlie Kaufman moved here from Alaska, and we became really good friends. And then we put a tube chassis under the front. And then I quit for a while and just went to strictly roping, team roping. And then got back in it, and Bill redone it. And we put a 604 in it. And that's when he was telling you we couldn't get it to go straight and all this. And then I went and bought this 63 split one that I'm racing now. And, of course, I've got a dragster.
I was gonna say, you done a little bit of a stint in a dragster.
I bought a dragster in '99, I think, '99 or 2000. And me and Kurt, and Lonnie, and we'd go run it. I think sometimes we'd been to Fulton, Bahia, Prescott. We'd run 4 days a week. We'd leave, and in the first actual true bracket race I'd been to was me and Lonnie and Kurt. We'd stay at Lonnie's shop and work on cars and stuff. And Kirk had bought a Monza.
I remember the Monza.
And they had finally put that together, and I finally bought me a truck that I could pull my 63 to the track, because I used to pull it with an S10 to the track. And so we hooked up one weekend, went to Prescott. I believe it was the first race that we went to with that Monza, to a bracket race, and it was just like, well, we just got to do this forever. And from then on, I mean, there was many times me and Lonnie and all of us would get off work and head to Bahia and then come back and go to Prescott and then go to Centerville. And a lot of good times. And now I'm kind of starting off with this new car now, and I've had really good luck. I hadn't run for the points anywhere since probably '96 or '97, and made it in the top 10 this year, the first half, and hopefully the second half. I hope to do better than just the top 10. I want to try to win it, but it's been a lot of fun. What makes, had some really good times and some good success, and so that's the way the story of my career has been.
You talked about your shop is just right over here, and growing up here, and then when Bill, his race shop over here, did you ever think about dirt track racing, or did you ever get into any dirt track racing at all, or has it always been drag racing?
It's pretty much been drag racing. I worked at Hagen's Dodge up there in Malton for a little bit, and Steve Charton and Johnny Junkins dirt tracked, and I got to know Steve Charton through working at Hagen's, and they invited me to go with him for a little while.
And Steve's a very good dirt track racer.
Yeah. And that's where I got to Chevelle, was from Johnny Junkins, and that's how I found out about it. And I went with him probably 3 or 4 races, and after we'd get off work at Hagen's, we'd go over to Johnny Junkins, and we'd have to work all night to fix this car. And I said, you know what, there's a lot more I want to do than have to fix a car, make it pretty, and then go tear it up, and then start all
Work
over
on it
again.
all week long.
So drag racing kind of fit my criteria. What I want to do, I ain't got nothing broke. I just leave it in the trailer and roll it back out the next race.
So what you're saying, you're not replacing A-frames every
No,
week, right?
no, I've watched Bill do that
Yeah.
enough. That's
Tell us about the new car.
new car. Well, I bought it out of Tennessee. I'd seen it on Facebook on Race Junk or some site that they got cars on that they sell drag cars. And I was over there getting the Chevelle ready to go racing on Sunday, and I'd seen it in there while I was running the valves, and I was like, man, I've always wanted a Corvette. And I've always wanted a factory-built race car. I just do. And I thought about it. Well, on the way to the track Sunday, I called the guy. And I talked to him from here to Centerville about this car. And he told me everything about it, what it was, and well, I was wanting to buy it rolling. I wanted a light car and wanted to really go fast. And so I told him, I said, well, I'm pulling in the drag strip. I'll race. I'll call you on the way home, and we'll discuss this. Okay. Well, that was in between that we had done some chassis adjustment on the Chevelle. And I made a pass in it. And Johnny Carroll Rimmer was behind watching me. He just had me. And I mean, that car just went like this, and it went like that, and it went like that. And I'm like, what in the world's going on with this car? And we've been playing with it, just trying to critique stuff and trying to get faster and faster and faster. I come back, I called Bill and said, hey, what I need to do, you need to do this and this and this. Well, everything I do wouldn't work. I went up there the next pass, and I mean, it done it again, and I just thought it was going to come around on me when I crossed the finish line. When I lifted, it's kind of like that dragster. Sometimes when you lift, the rear end would get light, and that's the way that Chevelle does. And I rode it up in the trailer. I said, I'm done. I'm going to buy this car. So I'm dialing this number and everything, and I'm pacing and I'm pacing and I'm pacing, because the guy wouldn't respond. And about 30 minutes later, I texted him back. I said, is the only thing hold this deal up is I won't buy it turnkey? And about 10 minutes later, he calls. He said, yeah. He said, I was on the phone with a guy in California, and he wanted me to send it to California. I said, I'll be there in the morning. He said, you going to be here in the morning? I'll save it for you. And me and a buddy of mine got up, and we went and got it and come back. And it's as nice of a car as I'll ever own again. I mean,
It's a very nice car.
Nice car.
We looked at it a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
That is a very nice car. As we get ready to close out this segment, what do you see in the future for yourself racing? What are your hopes?
Well, I was talking that to my brother this weekend in Dallas. My goal, if this car pans out and everything does good, I'm gonna go get my license and try to run Division 4 within the next year or two.
That would be great, especially to see you do well in that, and we wish you the best of luck. And Ronnie, we appreciate you making the long trip from Texas to be here tonight.
I appreciate y'all having me.
We hope to have you back on sometime in the future, and we'll be visiting with you at tracks around Arkansas.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ronnie Clinton, guest tonight, and
Thank y'all for having me.
again, like I said, we want to thank our sponsors tonight, True Grit Auction Company over in Dardanelle, Central Arkansas Motor Speedway down in Plummerville, and Weston Petroleum Company. And as last but not least tonight, and it's an honor to have this guy here. I tell you, he's one of the winningest SuperPro drivers that I can think of in Arkansas. Ladies, if you would please welcome SuperPro champion Lonnie Cunningham. Lonnie, thank you for coming tonight.
Glad to be here.
Have a seat. Now, I said in the introduction, and I meant when I said this guy right here, if you don't know who Lonnie Cunningham is, I don't care what race he's at, what state he's in. And I was telling Heath on the way up, Lonnie Cunningham, if he pulls up there to the start line, there's a 9 out of 10 chance that he's going to put you on the trailer. And that's just being honest. Lonnie, tell us how you got started and how your career's progressed.
Well, when I was a young kid, I got started when I was about 13 with a motorcycle. And old Honda 305 Dreamer. I drove that thing to the track. Center of it, I had Carlisle, Stuttgart, Newport. Raced it for a few years. And it got me a 55 Chevrolet when I was 16. And I raced it just a street racing. I went to the track one time with it. And really enjoyed doing it. And about that time after that, I went in the Navy. And it took up my time till I retired in '89. And when I got out, I started back kind of messing around with it with my son, Kurt. And
Who is also a very accomplished drag racer.
well, like Ronnie said, you know, we had that Monza that he got, and I wanted him to stop racing on the street where he got hurt or got arrested for doing that. And so we built that car and we started racing, and with it, and I was going with him, you know, just about every weekend racing that car somewhere, and I wanted to do it myself. So Al Watkins up here had that Nova of his that he'd been racing at Centerville. I had only been there a few times at that track, and I seen the car, and I liked it, and I sent my youngest son to pick it up. I was at work. I told him to go in there in my dresser and get the money and go up there and pick it up. And the next question from him was, does mama know you're getting it? I said, no. She worked at Kimberly Clark then. We both got off the same time, 11 o'clock, second shift. And I told her on the way home. And she didn't scream too much. You know, and we've been racing ever since. You know, I really enjoyed it with the car that I got from Al. You know, done a lot of updates to it. After we got it, the car only runs 730s, 8th mile, run 930s, 1,000 foot. It had a nice Dana rear end in it, 60 in it, big tire on it, little 396, 3 1/4 horse motor, had a little cam in it. Wasn't fast at all, but it was real consistent. Easy to race, did tear up parts. I probably won more races with that car than I have anything.
There's so many races that you want to. I mean, you know, you talk to people and your name comes up as far as bracket racing. So I mean,
Yeah.
have you got any idea how many races that you have won over the years?
No.
I know Kurt probably does. How many times have y'all two had to beat one another?
Oh, a ton. And it really tees you off when it happens too. You're trying to dodge each other.
I don't know
You
why I
know?
followed it so bad.
You know, I don't want to run him. He doesn't want to run me. Now we got my grandson in this,
racing.
and my other boy's racing too now. You don't even like to run the people that you associate with, whether it be Bill Frye, let's say, here, or other people that we know that live in this area, Johnny Rimmer and all them. You don't like to run them. You like to dodge those guys and run people elsewhere. There's a big community of racers in this around here. I mean, I was thinking about the other day, and I could count 15 cars just off the top of my head that's from right here. You know, they say Greenbrier thing, but most of the time, you know, it's guys from out here, Guy, Quitman, other people around here, Conway, and people that, you know, have raced with a long time.
Well, when you and Kurt like meet in the finals, what's the ride home like?
Easy when I win.
Easy when you win.
You just razz one another.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
you were late or you gave the finish line back.
He
He
beat
talks
people
about
for
running
like
each
a
other in the
stump.
final. He don't like to run each other early, but like if you get down the semis and you have to run each other, at least one of you know you're going to the final.
Right.
But you want to get both you get there, but that don't always work that way.
Yeah, it's just, you try to dodge people you know and don't like running people that, you know, family, and
Sometimes
I
that
guess down at the end it's fun though. You know, you want to win, beat them.
You may not know how many races, but how many championships have you won?
12 at Centerville.
13 or 12.
Yeah.
Just 12 at Centerville. Come close at Prescott a couple times. I've only raced at Prescott 3 times for the championship. I missed it by 1 point in like 2002 or something like that. I ran the whole season down there. Back when Steve Dedman had the track. And I enjoyed going down there all the time. It was a great place to race. It still is. And I lost to a guy named Spencer Elton by 1 point. And I didn't go one night because my granddaughter was having her christening. Didn't go. So I missed out on the 5 points, or item 1. Then the last 2 years, I placed 3rd last year, and I'm going to place 3rd again this year, with Kirk winning the one at Prescott.
You know, and we talked about this a lot, and we have tonight. You know, you won all those championships at Centerville and got close down at Prescott. People just don't understand how tough the competition is in the state of Arkansas. I mean, I'm telling you, you know, if you can win a race, much less a championship at one of these tracks, you can go anywhere in the country and win a race. I mean, it's just that tough
That's
here.
true. There's just a phenomenal amount of people that race here in this area. Centerville, Prescott, and other guys that we know a lot from Ozark up there that come down to Centerville and run. Those guys are good. Got good cars. It ain't like it was 20 years ago when you go up there and put a dial on your car and pad it by 1 or 2 or whatever. You can't do that no more. If you can't cut a light real good, you got to be 10 or better most of the time, or you get you loaded up. Now we got these girls that's doing it to us too. We got a girl that's racing up there at Centerville now. It's real good. That's probably one of the first ones, other than that Mrs. Jones lady. She hadn't raced in a while, and they've never had that many girls race SuperPro.
But
She's good.
But there are some good female racers out there.
Yeah, I mean,
But
quite a few.
like I said, people that are really not that aware, of motorsports market, they just don't realize how deep the talent pool runs,
Right.
Here in the state of Arkansas, especially in this area right here. I would assume living in the Greenbrier Guy area, you've got to be good, or your buddies are going to razz you every week.
Well, yeah, there's just a phenomenal amount of people that race this here that's really good. And like I said, all over the states, the Moorheads up there and up there in Benton and Bryant and Darren Spears, Dee Finch, all them guys that run down to Prescott, run at Centerville a little bit. You got the Brothertons, Greg and Jeff, and JV raced there for quite a few years with them boys. People just hated to see them coming, because they got beat by them. Because they own the business, they just beat up on them.
Right.
And
You and we meant to get into this a little bit with Ronnie, but you also you started out in what we call a door car.
yeah.
And then you had a transition over to the dragster.
Mhm.
Tell people at home, what the differences are as far as driving those two different cars in a race.
Well, a door car, a slow door car like I was driving, you had to go down and sit on the finish line because them dragsters coming at you at 140 mile an hour. More than that when we was running 1,000 foot. And I was down there sitting on the finish line running 930s and they blow by you. But you got to be sitting down there on it where you can take the stripe, or they catch you early enough, you're on the brake and let them hope they break out and go by you. It's hard to judge it, but you get used to it. So I wanted to start trying to do that from the other perspective of running people down with a dragster. And I had the opportunity to buy the one that I have now that I've had for 20 years. I bought it from Dane Ward, and I love the car. It's a great hardtail car that was made by Tin Man in Texas, and I've had it ever since. It went from running that, when I got that car, it run 530s, 540s, had a 427. I put a 482 in it. It went some 5-teens, about like Kirk's car does now. And I put the bigger motor in it, and I went 70s in it. And it's just a lot of fun, and I enjoy it. And it's just a completely different type of race when you're racing from the back side compared with the front side.
We visited a while Saturday there at Centerville, and I know you're very proud of your family.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about their racing endeavors while we got you, because you've got a great group following you there that you spend a lot of time with.
It's been Kirk has been done real good at Centerville, Prescott, wherever he goes. He has a great car now. He raced as good as he could race when he had that Monza. It was, it was just a home built car, with the average motor in it that come out of a pickup truck that we put in there, and we done everything from built the motor place to built the drive shaft, everything. Raced that car. Raced it had a 350 turbo in that thing, always breaking the cases in it, didn't have no trans brake. He's foot braking in SuperPro. He didn't really race pro in it. And he finally got a power glide for it and done better with the car. You know, it made it more consistent to drive. And finally he updated and got him a dragster a year or two after I bought mine. Got it from a guy out of Ohio, I think it was. And it's done good ever since. Then Kyle come along. His daddy bought him a junior, him and his mama, and he was really good at it. Took to it like duck to water, I guess. He still does. He's a great driver. I put him in anybody's car to drive. He drives just as good as anybody. You know.
He's been doing very well.
Oh, very well. He drives real good. You know. He's a confident driver. He thinks when he goes up there he can win. I would hope that he will always be that way. You show up to the start line with not the attitude that you can win, you might as well just go and go home. You're wasting your time. And I love to watch him race, and I know Kurt does too, and his mama. My other son, Nathan, he had a 74 Nova that we done about the same thing. We put a big block in it, 427 in it, and he run it for a couple of years just sporadically. He didn't really go a lot. He was going to school then, and he sold the car and got married and kid and all that stuff, and he never has raced. He raced Kurt's car once or twice, his Monza, and he's a big boy, and he didn't fit in that thing too well.
He raced the maroon Nova a couple times too.
He raced my Nova. I let him race it when I had my dragster, and I had that Nova too that I sold, that maroon one. Painted black. Kurt painted it in my garage, and should have kept the car, sold it to a guy up in Russellville somewhere. I don't know where he ended up with it. He hacked it up a little bit, and so I didn't really ever want it back. I wish I'd never sold it. So Nathan's been driving my new Nova that I bought here a couple of years ago, and it runs 570s, 580s. It's a nice car, back half car, double frame railed in it. It's got a 511 big block in it with a toilet on it, Ron's toilet, and it runs real good for no more motor than this guy. And Nathan doesn't have a lot of experience driving a race car at this time, but he went a few rounds each time he went to Centerville now, and this last weekend he done real good in the 6070. He got down to 4 cars in one, 7 in the other class, and never raced it in his life.
Never indexed before.
Yeah, there's a lot of tough index racers,
I mean, it's,
out there. So.
Yeah, and it was, racing in condition. Heck, we waited 5 hours before we made it past the Centerville. Kyle was up there. We're all sitting around just waiting on something to happen other than hoping people don't wreck. And they was trying to do a bunch of that. I would not get in one of them cars, some of them conditions. Them guys get into them blower cars and fast cars. No.
Not with a lot of good.
Up there.
For somebody that's maybe thinking about getting into the sport, what advice would you give them?
Run. Well, there's so, if you get into it, you really got to spend, a pretty good amount of money to really have a good car. You can go up there and play around with a street car, or a pro car or something like that. If you're gonna race SuperPro, and it ain't because SuperPro is better than them other. I get beat by them other pro drivers. You're just as good as you can any other. But it takes a good car. You can't have a car like I was racing, that Nova and stuff, and some other cars, and expect to win nowadays.
Right.
You're not going to win very many races. So they got to be so consistent. You got guys that drive up over that track over, got $100,000 race cars.
You talk about the memory part.
It's just.
He talks about he could have bought a home in Florida or he could have done this and that, but he will say this and he will never take back the times of me and him and his grandson of us being together at the races.
And that's what it's all about. It's all about family.
You've met so many
And the
friends
You know,
that's involved in this sport. You know, I cherish the time that I've spent with most of them. You know, from Jeff Brotherton and Greg and JV and his family, and me, Dane Ward and his family. All of us have been so good of friends over these years. Greg and Jeff have helped me a lot, at Rollins. I mean, stuff they know. We bought all their hand-me-down stuff for years. I mean, from tires to carburetors to torque converters, whatever. We still got some of that stuff. That they got through with what they do and moved on to something else faster or different. And we bought the stuff because we knew it was good stuff, and they were winning with it. So if they could win with it, we ought to be able to win with it.
right.
So that's kind of how that stuff went around, and we've been doing it, for 25 years.
And very successful.
Yeah.
Lonnie, I'll tell you what, it's been an honor to have you and your family here tonight with us, and we appreciate you coming on tonight. And like I said, we want to get with you later on in the winter and do some more stuff with you in your racing career.
We appreciate it.
Hey,
Y'all
thank
have a
you.
great day.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lonnie
Thanks for having me.
Cunningham.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap up another week of Tuesday Night Tune-Up. We want to thank Bill Frye and Bill Frye Motorsports for having us here tonight in Guy,
Great
Arkansas.
place.
Yeah, and also our guests, Lonnie Cunningham, Bear Brantley, Ronnie Clinton, and Bill Frye himself. Next week, we will be at the Centerville Super Speedway in Centerville, Arkansas. Our guest will be track owner promoter Wayne Tidwell, and that'll be exciting, I'm sure. No telling what he's going to say or have for us. We will also have female driving sensation Jackie New Bell, and Randy Aiken will also be on the show, and the River Valley's very own Mark Martin will join us next week. So, ladies and gentlemen, for Arkansas Motorsports Magazine, I'm Bill Gilkey. This is Heath Tate. And we'll see you back next Tuesday night.
Thank you.
Thank you.